North Little Rock City Council.
Gibson.
Present.
Yielding is absent. Robinson.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
Barry.
Here.
Vestal.
Present.
Height.
Here.
And Witcher.
Present.
A quorum is present, sir.
Would you stand for the pledge, stand for the prayer and remain stand for the pledge. Prayer in Ward 4 by Alderman Witcher and pledge by Alderman Height.
Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve our city. We pray for those who represent us at the state level, federal level. And we ask that you guide all of us from the very top of the government all the way down to the city level. For those unspoken prayers that we have tonight, we ask that you consider those. Thank you for your mercy, for your love. Pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move to accept the minutes from the last meeting. Second. And the special. Second.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Gibson.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Communications.
Number 4.
Let's see. Move we accept 1 through 8, please.
Second.
Is that right?
And then I'd like to have one read in its entirety.
One read in its entirety and pull 4.
I like 4. Red.
4 read in its entirety. Anything else?
On the remaining 6, Gibson.
Yes.
Robinson. Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Number 1, this is a letter to the Parks and Recreation, Bob Rhodes, members of the Parks and Recreation Commission. This letter is to express my deep concern and opposition to the sale of alcoholic beverages in our city's Burns Park and the softball complexes, as well as the soccer fields. Surely you have been there to see for yourselves the number of small children and youth who are running about playing while their parents are engrossed in the game of the hour. There are many young children and teenagers who frequent these areas, and they do not need exposure to this type of atmosphere and potential danger. Prior to my retirement, I spent 40 years in nursing, and believe me, I have personally witnessed the results of alcohol-related serious permanent injuries, and yes, even death from alcohol-related events. You don't have to take my word for it, because statistics are already formulated to uphold my belief, and this is not a problem we need at our recreational facilities. I plead with you not to allow financial needs, personal desires, friends, or business pressure to influence your decision in this matter. Be careful and vote for the benefit of the young people, our citizens, and future leaders of this fine land. Sincerely, Pat Tyler.
Move we accept the file.
Mr. Mayor, I also want to second that, and I want to also further state that I'd like a vote of the council going on in opposition to this facility, this beer sales on July the 4th. So I'd like to, as he moved and second that, to also include in there a voice vote of the council that we want to state our opposition to that alcohol sales at Burns Park and Vesta Field on July the 4th.
Mayor, if I may, that is not relative to this letter. That is 2 separate issues. And if Alderman Thomas would like us to vote on that, he may make that during the public comments.
No, I think I really feel that it's the same thing. That's what this letter is about. He wants us to do what we can to oppose the sale of alcohol beverages at the park. And I want to accept this and also move that the council go on record. We can take a vote if somebody seconds that, and we'll see if the council wants to oppose that on July the 4th.
Well, we do one thing at a time, and I think it's out of order right now.
Well, let's let the city attorney rule, because we're going to have other attorneys on this thing before it's over anyway.
Alderman Thomas, I think that your motion is probably best brought during new business, because it's new business to be presented essentially a resolution for city council, and I think it would be best presented at that time.
Of course, this is just a voice vote, but, and your opinion is that that would be out of order to do it at this time?
It's my opinion that would be best presented in a resolution. Yes, I think that would be out of order at this time.
Well, I'm not going to do a resolution, I'm just going to have a voice vote, is what I wanted to have the council.
A motion is the equivalent of a resolution by
Okay.
city council. It expresses the will of the city.
Okay, I mean, if that's the decision of the council, I mean, of the attorney, I'll take that, and we'll do it at a future time then.
I think you still have a second on the communication.
Gibson,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Vestal,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes. Mayor, you might want to have her read number 3, too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
And we needed to read and discuss number 8. I had it marked but didn't.
Could we pull number 3 and number 8 too?
Yes, sir. And number 3, this is a letter to Ms. Diane Whitby, members of the North Little Rock City Council. Dear Ms. Whitby and Alderman, this is to advise that I will be out of town on Monday, June 9, 2003, attending the annual meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Alderman Gary Berry will be presiding over the City Council meeting in my absence. Regarding any legislation that I have sponsored, Alderman Berry will be aware of my request regarding the same. Thanking you in advance, I remain sincerely Patrick H. Hayes, Mayor.
Move, accept, and file.
Second.
I think we've already accepted and filed it.
Okay.
Gibson.
Right.
In the blanket. Okay, number 4. This letter is to the members of the North Little Rock City Council. Dear council members, you will recall that during the last several council meetings, concerns have been raised regarding the flooding which regularly takes place under the overpass at Highway 161 at Prothero Junction. As such, I contacted the director of the Arkansas Highway and Transportation Department, Dan Flowers, and discussed this problem with him. Director Flowers assured me that his department would undertake a review of what corrective action might be taken in order to help improve this transit problem at the location and will report his findings in the near future. Please rest assured that I will keep you informed when I learn what the Highway Department will be able to do regarding this matter. I remain sincerely Patrick H. Hayes.
Move we accept as filed. Second.
Second.
On communication.
Gibson,
Yes.
Robinson,
Yes.
Thomas,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Vestal,
Yes.
Height,
Yes.
and Witcher.
Yes.
Number 8, please.
Number 8, this letter is dated May 30th, 2003, to the Honorable Patrick Henry Hayes. Dear Mayor Hayes, as you probably are aware, the remaining households recycling drop-off centers located at McCain Mall and on Pershing Boulevard in North Little Rock have become both an eyesore and a nuisance as a dumping ground. For this reason, we are closing them effective July 1. Because this leaves us with no household recycling drop-off centers in North Little Rock, we are preparing to hold household recycling collections beginning in July, much like the household chemical collections we now conduct. Although we are in the initial planning stages, we anticipate that these collections will be held every Saturday, beginning July 13th at the McCain Mall location, where the present drop-off center is located. As with household chemical collections, these household recycling drop-off events will be manned so as to discourage illegal dumping. Additionally, we will have a household recycling collection event at the new permanent household chemical collection center located in the North Little Rock Public Works Yard one Saturday a month. We are putting the finishing touches on the schedule. The principal reason for this decision is the inordinate amount of money and the time the district staff expends on these drop-off centers. Complaints regarding illegal dumping at this site are received almost daily, and the actual cost of the cleanups have exceeded the expenditures we have made year-to-date on the recycling operation for which these centers are intended. I will keep you posted on our progress on this. I do have a long-range plan that I will discuss with you at our next meeting to address and improve the situation. Thank you for your help and understanding on this matter. Best personal regards, Pulaski County Regional Solid Waste Management District, John N. Roberts, Executive Director.
Move we accept, oh, we already did.
Yes, sir. That's all of the communications.
Okay. Got to move, open for public hearings for municipal improvement district. The floor is open.
Mayor, city council members, I have put on each one of your desk a certificate from Standard Abstract and Title Company from Ms. Kay Maris, where she has examined all of the petitions which we filed with the city clerk and has determined that more than 51% of the assessed valuation of the property within the district have signed. I've also included an Excel spreadsheet which shows that we have 59%. And for your information, I've asserted all of the assessed valuations, copies of the assessments that are, as they now appear in Pulaski County Assessor's Office. And at the end of that is a map, a small map. Mr. Holloway is here. He has a large map, which is right behind me, of the district boundaries. Basically, this district is formed for the purpose of rebuilding Count Massey Road, rebuilding Collins Road, and improving the sewer, building a sewer line for a portion of Count Massey Road. Since the petition is signed by more than 51% of the assessed valuation, that is basically what this council is supposed to do, is to find out whether or not that we have met that burden, and if we have, then the council forms the district, then we have the assessments and get the plans together, and we come back before the council to have 3 assessors appointed to assess the benefits, and then we do an ordinance that sets those rates, the benefits, and everybody has a time at that time to meet with the council, and you serve as sort of a board of equalization on those assessments. So basically tonight is just the question for the council is, do we have enough signatures? Do we have more than 51% of the property owners signed? And we have a certificate to that effect from the abstract company. And if you'd like to know more about the project, Mr. Holloway is here, Bob Holloway, the engineer. I'd like to turn it over to him, let him kind of give you a brief overview.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm Bob Holloway. This sort of culminates a year's worth of work on this project. We've been working on it for a long time, had a lot of meetings. But what I'd like to show you is the district starts at Ball Mill Boulevard. It includes Acme Brick, and it also includes McDonald's. And it goes and includes Collins Road, which was an old road that the city took over, and every time anybody does any building on it, it falls apart right where they're doing the building. So while we're doing this, we decided that we needed to rebuild this too. And the improvements extend all the way down to the 90-degree bend. I'm sure everybody knows where that is. And with half-street improvements for a quarter of a mile to the east. Now, the people who own the property to the north are agreeable to doing their part of that development, so this won't be a half-street improvement. It will be a total development for a quarter of a mile from the east of the 90-degree bend, but they will pay for their half of the street. And if you're very familiar with that out there, the section line is almost down the middle of the existing street. So since we're using that as our go-by, so it'll be easy to determine what cost is what. Now, if you're very familiar with the history of this area, you'll know that the last bit of sewer improvement that was out there was on Collins Road. And that's been just a few years ago, in which Collins Road and a little bit of the area up here and the area down to here was brought into the North Little Rock wastewater utility. So then the remaining portion of this area, down to where the 90-degree turn is, will then be included in the sewer part of the improvement district. The improvements on Collins Road, since it's pretty much developed, and since there are a lot of concrete driveways already there, and since the power lines are reasonably out of the way, will include a redoing of what is there already. And so we will probably redo the shoulders and redo the paving, but unfortunately, we're going to have to it's not an overlay. It's going to have to be a reconstruction because what's there, except in some cases, will have to be redone. The roadway section it starts out up at McDonald's and Acme as curb and gutter. And it'll be a 36-foot wide curb and gutter section all the way to the top of the hill. The top of the hill is at Collins in this area here, in Count Massey. So it's around Mr. Greenfield's mill at that point. And we needed to do that because everything is kind of congested. It'd be hard for people to retain adequate parking and access to the road. Plus, it's up on the hill. It's at the divide. So the need for drainage structures, there's not any here. And we'll carry that section down to Curie's, just past Curie's. But at that point, we start getting into the low country down this area. So we have to get into kind of the road section that's there now. As we get past Collins Road and get on past Richardson Plumbing and about in this area, then we'll start going into a typical section like you folks have at the I-40 Industrial Park. Actually, the same size road. It'll be 44 feet wide, the pavement. It'll have 14-foot wide lanes, and it'll have an 8-foot shoulder. So you're going to have net 44 foot of pavement. And right now, you maybe have 18, in some places maybe 15. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a substantial improvement. And so that is the improvements. At this point down here, the Public Works have required us to put in a big, wide, sweeping curb. And we will have to do that anyway to miss the new power lines that's in there. I hate to tell Energy that they got to move brand new power lines, so we designed it so that it have a sweeping curve, and that was approved. The curve was required by your Public Works people when we had this improvement district, this subdivision approved about 1.5 years ago. Essentially, that's it. We're going to improve significantly the drainage. As you know, there isn't any drainage if you've been up and down there. And we have several tracks that they're very flat, and they have to, some of them drain towards the road, and they can't get relief, but that'll be our chore to take care of that situation. And we've investigated enough that we think we can do that adequately, and that we think that the road won't have any problem developing a good road. We have gone ahead and did the soil analysis, and the soil analysis bear that out. And if you're very familiar with the activities, you know they had to haul in a lot of dirt for this ball field, and it was a pretty good test of what's good and what isn't good. And what wasn't good, it was because of drainage, and it just fell apart totally. That plus the soils analysis have given us a pretty good idea of what the conditions are and what we have to design against. It'll take us 45 to 60 days to complete the design as soon and if we get turned loose. And it'll be a very nice addition to the city of North Little Rock.
One other thing I'd like to point out is that, number one, there are 3 commissioners named in the ordinance now that the legislature has adopted an act which will permit us to have 5 commissioners, but it does go into full force effect until July the 14th, I believe it is. So we have had property owners have elected Jack Wilson, would y'all stand up for that? Doug Harper, and Jimmy Greenfield as the commissioner.
that's basically what we have.
All right, let me just mention a couple other things, and I won't take too long. Robert asked me to advise you that we've proposed not having sidewalks on this facility. We're already pretty deep into the cost. And this is, I don't know of any other sidewalks in a situation like this and out there. We are going to have relocations of a lot of things. One of them is going to be the power line. And another thing that's going to be built, is another water line. The North Little Rock North Little Rock, not the North Little Rock, but Central Arkansas Water. I met with them the other day, and they're going to replace a much larger water line down through there. It's going to be a 14 or a 16 inch. And they haven't decided exactly what, but it won't be anything less than a 14 inch. So there's going to have to be sewer, water lines, and relocation of the power poles. So all of those things would also compete with sidewalks, and we don't want to create a burden on some critical properties where that might have an adverse aspect to their access to their existing businesses. Thank you.
I just had one question. I just had one question, if I
Yes, sir.
might. Our contribution is going to be $300,000. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And see, that's the reason I voted last time against it, because of the work that we need so desperately out in the East End, and that was my concern last time. I know you have the authority to do that, but I know how desperate we need that $300,000 is the reason I wanted to bring that up.
I appreciate that.
This
Mayor
is
Berry.
basically the same thing, Olin, that we did at Willow Beach.
I know
Alderman Whitcher?
I can't vote for it.
Okay.
And
All right, Mr. Holloway, could you help me with some of the property owners out there? Oh, to the northeast of this project, all right, didn't you indicate that was the Maumelle City Park area now?
Yes, sir. Right
Okay.
next door.
Okay, and it will join Count Massey, is that right?
Yes, sir. It already does.
Okay. Okay, and then, all right, the property owner to the north is who?
Country Club Developers, LLC.
Okay. All right, so we have a recreation, and the reason I'm asking these, I'm going back to the sidewalk issue, with Country Club on one side and with the park on the other. I'm wondering, again, about putting a sidewalk in, going back to that commercial area.
Well, they still have to ask us when they get.
Now, Maumelle is putting in the street all the way through here, and it does have a sidewalk.
Okay.
But by the time it gets down here, it's on over this way a bit, and it comes and ties in right up here.
Okay, all right. You envision most of the property in the district being commercial, though, don't you?
Industrial.
Industrial?
Industrial.
Okay.
No, I don't envision very much of it being commercial. I envision most of in our district here as being industrial. I don't know.
Okay.
I just don't know. But right now, that's what it's zoned.
Okay. May I ask a question, Mr. Carter? Mr. Carter, when we get ready to consider this, I was wondering if there would be some place where we should consider adding the petition for the formation of the improvement districts as an exhibit, and also the advertisement for the hearing, and then the material that Mr. Thurman's provided tonight. We look at that and then advise us when we get to it.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'm Gerald Fitzgerald. I live off Counts Massey Road, have 20 acres of property. I've lived there since 1975, and I've watched that place develop. And I understand, I've already been told that I don't have a snowball's chance in Hades of doing anything about this district. but I'd ask each one of you to put yourself in my position. These gentlemen, I don't know how they rigged this up or what they did. That's their business. But it severely involves me because based on the assessment that I have been given, my taxes will increase to $10,000 a year for all these improvements for a period of 25 years. I'll be 62 years old when I start paying my first assessment. If I hold on to my property, I'll be 87 years old if I'm able to afford the taxes. So I have to ask each one of you to put yourself in my position. I've asked them to put themselves in my position also. I'm not opposed to this road because this road's been needed ever since I've been out there. It was a dirt road when I went out there. There was no I-430 and there was no Maumelle Boulevard. But now all of a sudden the investors, the property owners, and Country Club of Arkansas, and these construction people have come in there in the last few years and bought up this property all around me. And it so happens they bought up that property at the end. Country Club of Arkansas made a deal with Maumelle to get that property. So therefore they kind of boxed me in. And the only recourse I have, of course, is to come to the council. I've already gone to them all I can, Mr. Holloway and Mr. Thurman and Mr. Larison, all those people. I've tried to make my case before them saying, look, before I go down and buy something, if I go down and buy a new car, guess what? I try to calculate if I can afford it. Now, how in the world can people come along here and force me into a position that I don't want to be in because I cannot afford the $10,000. I'm retired. $10,000 is over 30% of my income. That's just this tax. Now, if I have to pay this tax, the federal tax, the state tax, the sales tax, the gasoline tax, and every other tax that I pay, guess what? What am I going to live off of? But anyway, I'm just making an appeal to this council to put yourself in my position on what we're dealing with here. I have no qualms about this road. This road's needed in that area. But it wasn't needed before Maumelle built the Diamond Center. We didn't have very much traffic out there. And before these people come in, I understand they're going to build 500 homes down at the end of this road. And you know, I can look out across the field. It used to be woods and everything across there, and I can see these homes going up, $250,000, $300,000 homes, whatever they are. It's completely out of my price range, ever has been in my life. And here they come along and want me to subsidize this effort. Now, this is unreal. Y'all said the Pledge of Allegiance a while ago, liberty and justice for all. Does this sound like liberty and justice for all of the people of this nation? Who built this nation? I mean, I'm just making the appeal. I have to have mercy because I know how this is bothering me at night, trying to figure out. My wife's a nurse. She has a good job at Spring Hill Memorial Hospital helping the sick people and so on. So, I mean, where does this end? I know there's a law, and I've already been told that we got to follow the law, but there's a lot of laws in this country that are not right, especially when it... But I happen to be in the absolute minority here. I'm just one individual. I happen to own about 5% of the property, and this is unreal to me. Like I say, before March, I didn't even know a municipal district could be formed. And so, therefore, I ask y'all to have mercy upon me. Actually, not only on me, but all the future people that may be involved in this same thing. Because this is not the first time this has happened, and unfortunately, it probably will not be the last time. But it looks like to me somewhere along the line that some people somewhere have got to have the courage to say, look, gentlemen, this is enough. This is enough. You have enough money. These lawyers, they have enough money. How much money can they get, and how much money do they need? I'm not asking for a free lunch. I'm asking you to make this affordable for people like me. I don't want a free lunch. I never have had a free lunch. Just make it affordable. I'm the only man out there that owns 20 acres, and I happen to be caught right in the middle of this deal right here, and I've been out there for 28 years, and most of that water drains across my property now. on the north end of Counts Massey Road before you get to the 90-degree curve. And the Mall Mill Country Club, they have come in there and leveled it off. Used to be trees and brush and so on. It looks like the Sahara Desert now. It's a desert. It looks like a desert, what they've done. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Don't run off. Don't run off. Alderwoman.
I noticed that, seemed like I heard you say that your taxes was going to go up to $10,000 a year.
Yes, ma'am.
How much are you paying now?
I pay about $1,000.
For 20 acres
Yes, ma'am.
right now?
Yes, ma'am. That's the real estate taxes, because it's undeveloped property, and I just have a house, 2 houses on it. So that's in addition, of course, to the $1,000. I'll have to pay what I pay now, plus, actually, it's a little bit more than the $10,000 total in the last assessment I had.
Okay.
Okay?
I got a question too,
Yes,
but
sir.
I need to ask John because I know this is gonna. Tonight we're discussing the 51% of the annexation, right?
Yes.
And when that's passed and we begin to start this in ordinance form, then there is going to be a board of equalization, which will pretty much be us, right?
That is correct. There'll be a board
And-
of assessors, the 3 assessors who will assess the benefits and set the taxes, and then anybody who's opposed to their particular taxes can come before this council and ask them to adjust it. And at that point, the commissioners need to come and tell you why they've assessed it that way, and it's your decision as to what the final assessment will be.
And you can't tell us that now. So I hate to wait. That's the reason I can't vote for it tonight, because I don't know what that would be, and I was hoping you could do that.
Well, no one will know that until after we have the contract and determine how much the cost is going to be, and then have the assessments, have the assessor go in and figure out how much the benefits are to each piece of property.
But on his case, it'd be too late.
No, it won't be too late. They come back before you as city council. It serves as a board of equalization, just like the board of equalization that Pulaski County does with real property. And if he's not happy with his assessment, he comes before you, and if you think he's right, then you reduce it to whatever you think's right. You're the final you got the final determination.
Yeah.
This council does.
Mayor.
Alderman Wood?
All right, Mr. Thurman, the material that you gave us tonight had some estimated annual charges on it. Are
Yes.
those within what you think might be the range?
Those are estimated, and we really have no idea till the final.
Okay.
That's based on a lot of things. I think that one was done before you all had approved $300,000 for the overlay of Collins and Count Massey. There have been some modifications in the actual sewer line. And Mr. Larison, as y'all probably know, the lawyers and the engineers and the assessors all contribute their time to this, and they may or may not get paid. And Mr. Larison got to the point where he had spent all the time he really could afford to spend until he was certain that there was going to be a district. And so he did all this at first for an illustration, and he really needs to do it only after the 3 boards of assessors, the 3
You're
assessors.
talking about Jack, right?
Do what?
Jack Larison?
Jack Larison.
Okay, all right. And I was looking at, I think under Mr. Fitzgerald's case, it's, the estimated range was $7,000 to $7,400
That's just on the road.
on the road.
It's just on the road. Sewer districts in addition to that.
Is that right, Mr. Holloway?
Mr. Claris tells me, I would have
Okay.
That basically was what he had figured on the basis of the first one, which was what, 3 point, what your first estimate was 3.3 million or something like that, and it's been changed substantially since then, so there's really no way that, but that's, I mean, for 20 acres, it's going to be close to that.
Thank you.
I don't know. I've got a real big concern for a person who owns property and owns 20 acres, and right now they're paying $1,000. I'm not against the project. I'm not against what you're doing out there, but my biggest concern is that for this man's taxes to go from $1,000 to $10,000, I put myself in his place, and that bothers me. That concerns me. But as you stated, that it'll come before us, and we'll be able to have the final say.
Right, the final say. Let me explain something. These really aren't, I mean, they're taxes. I guess any way you look at them, they're taxes. But what they do is they go out, Mr. Larison, on behalf of the 3 assessors that you all will appoint, who are property owners in the city of North Little Rock, goes out there and determines how much his property has been improved. How much, in other words, what the value of his property now is $10,000 an acre. After they put this road in, it's $30,000 an acre. And then he can assess a portion of those benefits to that. And that's what they're paying. They're paying their share of what this has improved, the value of their property. They're paying their share of that to get that improvement done. It's really not taxes in the sense that you look at a sales tax or something like that.
But us as a Board of Equalization, we can say, no, that's wrong.
That's right. You can say he's not getting the benefit of all of that. His property should only be a certain amount, and you can reduce those assessments to what you think is right.
Is this something we're going to vote on tonight? Are we going to vote on this tonight?
I'd just like to make one other point.
I'm going to ask you to be held.
This Council Massey Road is a public road. It's been public as far as I know ever since I've been there, and to be honest, it's over 50 years old. It's a dedicated road. It's a public road. And I didn't realize when I went out there, neither did my parents, that we would ever be called upon not only to pay real estate taxes, which it has in there, a road tax, and the real estate tax has a road tax in there. I've been paying them. And I used to call the county to get them to come out there and grade the road. And I called them to try to get them out there to chip the road, and finally had some luck doing all of that. But anyway, all I'm making of this is a public road. The only way I'm going to benefit from this, I don't need but this road that's out there. I only have 2 cars, 2 or 3 people coming out. The sewer system, I'm not going to benefit from that really. I have on my own septic tank system I put in there a long time ago and I have to maintain. So when he talks about, when Mr. Thurman talks about me benefiting from this, the only way I'm going to benefit from this is if my property just skyrockets up like they try to say it's going to do, and I sell my property. And that's the only way I'm going to benefit. But what if I don't want to sell my property? I'm stuck with a bill for $250,000 over 25 years. I asked them at one meeting, I says, what if I'm 75 years old and I can't make my property tax? I know y'all heard this before, but what if I can't do it? I'm 75 years old and I don't know how long I'm going to live. I said, what if I can't pay my property taxes? Well, they looked at me and they said, well, we got to foreclose on your property. I said, you mean you'd come over a 75-year-old man, take my property away from me? And they said, oh, no, we probably wouldn't do that. We'd probably hire somebody else to have that done. So, I mean, what kind of people are we dealing with here in this nation, in this city? And, you know, I'm just one individual. I'm the lone wolf of the crowd. I'm just one person. So, I'm going to make it one way or the other.
Mr. Fitzgerald, how many people are like you out there that own property, that have been there for many years, and basically have a home there and want to...
I know me and one other person that has a trailer.
Which one is that?
Price. They only have an acre of property left.
Bob and Margaret Price?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
And it just so happens that the way they've got this road constructed, when they put it down through there, they're either going to have to shake hands with the people that drive by, or they're going to have to move their trailer.
Wow, that is tight.
It's going to be very close to their trailer when the road right-of-way goes through there. Yes, sir.
Your property on this map?
My property?
Number 5, top right hand.
Here. It's a quarter mile from the curb.
Is it 5
It's
or
330 feet from Country Club of Arkansas property.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Any council member?
I'm Joe Reynolds, and I'd like to echo part of what this gentleman said. I've been involved in an improvement district on a couple of occasions. It cost me a lot of money, and I never got anything out of it. I know this is going to help a lot of people, and I know that this needs to be done. But if this fellow has 20 acres out here, and he don't want it developed, and he don't want to do anything with it except sit there like he's been sitting there, he ought to be able to get a firm commitment from this council that they're going to help him in this respect, so he don't have to pay $10,000 a year of property when he has no intention of doing it. It's kind of like a stock market. You buy something for $10 a share, and it goes to $100 a share. You say, well, I got a lot of money, or you ain't got anything until you sold it. So I'm saying, after this property sells, perhaps, and this gentleman's gone, then somebody else may want to develop it, and they should be paying higher taxes when they develop it. But this gentleman indicates here, from what I'm hearing, that he has no intention of developing it, and he wants to be left alone pretty well. Because he's been out there all of his life, and I think his parents were out there before him. So he needs some heavy consideration here on when this Board of Equalization gets appointed and whatever. If you've never been through one of these and you had got in your back pockets, you don't know what they're talking about. I don't know how many of you people have been, but I've definitely been there 3 times, and it's cost me every time. And I didn't get the benefits out of it that some of the other people got. I know a lot of these people are going to benefit from it. When you build 250, 300 new houses out there, somebody's going to turn a profit. A huge profit off of the housings, off of the marketing situation and everything else. There's going to be a lot of people turn a lot of profit, but this gentleman down here is not looking to turn a profit. He's just looking to exist and stay where he's at and continue the rest of his days where he is and where he wants to be. Thank you.
My name is James Doherty, and I agree with Mr. Reynolds. Also, it would be nice if the council tonight could assure him that you'll help him get his taxes lowered. There's no sense in me repeating everything Mr. Reynolds said. Y'all have a choice and an obligation to this citizen. Thank you. My name is Bobby Taylor. This man, I don't even know him, but I can visualize where he's coming from. And I don't know whether it was the Planning Commission or what it was y'all. But there was a man down here in the Firestone Station where the Alltel Arena is. When y'all come time to buy that property, he didn't want to sell it. Y'all didn't tell him that he had to sell it. You just told him to get his stuff and go to the house. That's the same thing that you're going to do to this man right here. He ought to be able to stay down there. He bought out there intentions of spending the rest of his life out there. If he lived 3 days or if he lived to be 100, he ought to be able to stay there. And it's not right for people, lawyers and himself to come into a place like this and buy up a bunch of this land and just do people like they want to do. And that's exactly what y'all doing to this man right here, and I don't appreciate it a bit. Thank you.
Mr. Berry.
Alderman Giffen?
I just want to make one point clear. The city of North Little Rock did not buy the Firestone Place. Never intended to buy the Firestone Place. The Firestone Place was bought by Pulaski County. They paid the appraised value for it. But that's not the point. I'm going to ask that this legislation be held tonight because there's 2 items that need to be addressed. And I don't know how to address them without spending some time and trying to determine how you can levelize the current and future value of a piece of property. And I think that given a week or so that we can come up with a system that as long as someone maintains a piece of property for their personal residence, that they will not see the increase in these fees. Once that piece of property is sold for any other use other than residential use, then they become, and even perhaps we'll have to do a catch-up at that point. But it's going to take a few. You can't write that legislation sitting here tonight. And so I'm going to simply ask that 0341 be held tonight. Read it the second time and hold it, if we would.
I think we can start with that. Hey, is there anybody else? Public hearing closed. If you don't mind, I think we might go ahead and move this legislation to
Go ahead and call 0341.
Ms. Whitney, can we call 0341?
Yes, sir.
This is an ordinance establishing a municipal improvement district. Second reading.
Ask that it be held. I asked that it be held.
Could you hold it, please?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, before we get off this, Mr. Carter, at some point in time, do we need to add these items, exhibits, any one of the three?
I think the points you're bringing up, Alderman Witcher, with the statement of sufficiency and the notice of the hearing, I think it'd probably be best located if we did attach it to the ordinance. It'd be easier for people to find if we had to do research on it later.
Okay.
So should we attach it now?
I think logistically that would be a wise thing to do.
But can we read it the next time? When we read it the next time, we can.
Yeah. Well,
Are you making a motion to amend?
I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose any of it because
no, we're not going to lose it. I mean, the city attorney's got it.
We need a
so-
motion on that?
I believe Mr. Witcher would like to make a motion to attach the standard abstract and title piece of paper and also the
Related documents?
related documents to it. Is that correct?
Okay, does that, Mr. Carter, include both the petition for formation of the district as well as the certification and then the notice, with all three items?
I believe our petition's already supposed to be attached as Exhibit A, and then if we attach our notice of hearing, I've just got as an Exhibit B, and then the statement of sufficiency in the abstract as an Exhibit C.
That's my motion.
Second.
Second.
Is there a second to it?
Second.
Ms. Whipple?
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Are you
Okay,
ready?
let's move on to old business.
Resolution 0341, Mayor Hayes and Alderman Yielding.
I
Must
think
be
we'd like to
held.
hold that.
Okay. Resolution 0348, Mayor Hayes.
Like to hold that.
Ordinance 0337, Mayor Hayes.
Like to hold that.
Ordinance 0340, Mayor Hayes.
Like to hold that.
Ordinance, we're up to new business. Resolution 0350, Mayor Hayes.
Like to call that.
This is a resolution appropriating funds for improvements to the west side airfield at the North Little Rock Airport.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Ms. Whipple?
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ordinance 0343, Mayor Hayes.
Mayor,
Like
Mayor.
to call that.
Mayor, I'm sorry, you might want to mention our chairman for Airport Commission and our director is here.
Ms. Wheeler and Mr. Crimes.
I know
They're over behind that.
Behind.
Would you stand up so we can see you? We can't see
You
you.
still
back.
can't. Sid, would you get on the box,
Can we move
please?
Sid's been up the steps twice tonight already. Okay.
This is probably the culmination of about 5 years of planning. It entails some federal money, a lot of federal money, which we didn't think we were going to get, but we're using our what's called non-primary entitlement for 2 years. One of them we saved until this year. And they matched that, so we're matching that grant, and then that's to do the lighting on 1735, which has been in the ground for about 15 years, and in the last 9 months cost us about $17,000 in repairs, so it's badly needed. And the other part of this are two 75-25 state grants to finish up the drainage project we started 2 years ago on the west side, and that should take care of the west side, hopefully, for another 10 years, so we won't have to do anything else over there. Any questions?
Any questions from any alderman? Thank you much.
Thank you. Appreciate
It's a
it.
done deal.
Ordinance 0343, Mayor Hayes.
Call it, please.
This is an ordinance delaying late fee assessment in 2003 for occupation privilege license. First reading.
Those been rules placed on second reading.
Second.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance delaying late fee assessments in 2003 for occupation privilege license. Second reading.
Again,
Move to
those
place-
been rules placed on third reading.
Second.
I want to make sure that everybody understands we're delaying late fees. This is not calling for late fees.
No.
Ms.
Putting
Whipple?
off late fees until July 1, 2003.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance delaying late fee assessments in 2003 for occupation privilege license. Third and final reading.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
I was going to ask, I'll do it afterwards. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
On the emergency, Gibson.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
Witcher.
Yes.
Alderman Thomas?
Yeah. Do we have any indication of how many that we still have that's not paid? I know there's some 1,300 or so a week or so ago. Are we getting any closer? I know some of them have told me they're not going to pay, so I don't know how many that we
Is
have.
Mr. Reagan here? There he is.
About 75% of the businesses have paid. We're down to 867 which have not. And of that 867, some of those are going to be, excuse me, businesses that have gone out of business. So it's going to be something a lot less than that number.
I know we've had a little problem out in that area. I know one plumber that everybody used, he's in his 70s, and he said he was not going to pay it, and several of the people was very concerned, so I paid him myself. I paid the $100 for him, and because we do need him out there. And I know others that say they're not going to, but I've told some of the neighbors it might be to their advantage to go ahead and pay it for them, because we need that service out in our area. And I didn't know how many. He's one that was on those. I think he's 70-something years old. When he became 65 and on Social Security, they took him off, as they did many of them. And so he just told me he would not, and he wouldn't, and so we went ahead and paid for it.
Mayor?
Mayor, both of us.
Mayor. Mr. Reagan, I don't know, you may not have this number with you tonight, but correct me if I'm wrong. You say we've had 75% of the businesses have paid, approximately 25% haven't, which means there's been about 2,400 businesses that have paid their privilege tax for 2003. Is that correct?
That's close. 2,561.
Okay, 2,561. Of those 2,561, do you have any way of comparing what that number paid in privilege tax in the year 2002 versus 2003? What the difference is?
No. I mean, we could get that.
Can you get that?
I don't have it.
Well, I bet I can help. Go ahead. Read through, sir. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. All right. I was wondering, Mr. Reagan, if at our next council meeting, if you could provide to us the figure how much we collected in the year 2002 in privilege taxes, and then how much you have collected to date, and then how much remains outstanding for 2003, and then a total of those last two questions.
I'd like to second that.
For informational purposes.
I can do all of that except what's outstanding in 2003. The best I can do is give you an educated guess.
Well, you sent bills out, so you should be able to get a listing, Mr. Reagan. That's excluding those that aren't going to pay, of course. And I would expect you to make that exception.
And excluding those that I sent bills to that are no longer in business.
Well, and I would expect you to make that exclusion also, or those exceptions. This is predicated on folks that we don't know that have gone out of business and folks that have died or moved away.
Right.
But if you could provide that information at the next council meeting.
You want year-to-date 2002
2003
compared to 2003.
Well, okay, and I want something different. I want how much total was collected in 2002.
Okay.
And then I would like to see how much was paid to date for the 2003, and then how much remains outstanding with the caveats that some of those folks have gone out of business and some of them have moved away and others, and some of them just aren't going to renew. And then I would like a total of how much you have billed to date plus how much you have collected to date for 2003. Is that right, Mr. Thomas?
Projected total.
As of the date of the next council meeting.
Yeah, well,
or the day before.
Just whichever day you choose, Mr. Reagan, to be convenient with you. But I guess what I'm trying to figure out is how much we collected last year and how much you have both collected and expect to collect for 2003. So we'll have a good handle on it. Is that what you want, Mr. Hines?
That's what I want.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else? Thanks, Mr. Reagan.
I think you're going to find that there's, of the 868, there's almost 100 of them are no longer in business. And there's something, and some of them are major. Some of them are major, like Southern Cotton Oil Mill, Farmland, which used to be Southern Farmers Association. So you're going to have some major ones that have just...
But I don't think we're regressing, though, in businesses in North Little Rock. I bet the number...
I think what we're part of what
They're
we
being
gotta do-
replaced by other businesses is
Right.
what happened.
Yeah.
Mr. Reagan, you collected right at $500,000 so far. Yeah, I think it collected right at, we collected $447,000, I believe is what the budget reflected last year.
See,
we
we're
collect-
still billing people for outstanding bills that have been out of business. for a long
And I think that they probably found more people who have businesses, and that's why it's awful hard to determine. I don't know if you've seen a bill, but you've got a bill.
Got one.
Okay, you got
I
one,
paid it.
but when they send the bill to a company, and there's a valuation of inventory in there, he doesn't know how much that inventory is, so he may have a flat fee of $100, and Mr. Thomas would have gotten one of these, and then the next number is the variable, is based on your inventory. And so I'm not trying to take up for him, but you can do a rough guesstimate, but it's very difficult to guess how much Lowe's has in inventory.
And I understand.
And so I think that
And that's
Mr. Reagan can give you, but the system we looked at, that this should have brought in somewhere in the neighborhood of 600,000, give or take some, Mr. Sisson, and we've collected 500,000 of that 600,000.
Are we allowing businesses to use the low point of their inventory as their
The average inventory, I believe, is
Good
what it
average.
is, Mr.
Yep, they're supposed to use their average inventory.
Not necessarily their year end, because for some businesses, that's
Yeah.
their highest.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Reagan. 0344?
Alderman Thomas?
Call it, please.
This is an ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way at Central Airport Road in the city of North Little Rock. First reading.
I'd like to move the rules be suspended and placed on second reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way at Central Airport Road in the city of North Little Rock. Second reading.
Again, move the suspension of the rules and place on third reading.
Second.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance vacating and abandoning the right-of-way at Central Airport Road in the city of North Little Rock. Third and final reading.
One question. There are no, as far as I know, this goes right, it looks like besides Mr. Leo Barnett's old farm out there. I don't think there's any utilities in there.
But if you can reserve,
I think it's safe if we do reserve.
Yep.
I don't think there's any there, but there, I mean, there's an old farm out there for years, but I don't know what, no, this isn't the last one. This is, I don't know what Williams and some of those people may have put in out there.
It's going to be Range Road, it goes into the Oxbow.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I'm,
by the tanks.
Robert, I was born and raised on the corner where you turn to this property, so very well aware of it. But, okay, I think just to be on the safe side.
Okay.
Is that throw in a section that just says the city reserves the easements that are already there, if any. And I don't think there's any there, but.
Sir, my name is Robert Brown. I'm with Development Consultants, and we prepared the surveys and site plans for replatting the property that we're currently in process with at Planning Commission right now. There are no utilities within the right-of-way, and we prefer to keep it free and clear of easements because we intend to expand the use of the ATT tank storage facility further south into a new purchase area, which is across this right-of-way.
You're
So
planning on coming all the way to Thomas, what we know is the Thomas property, I guess.
Yes, sir. And we're going to be using probably about 3/4 of the Thomas property there, building a couple of other tanks. That site plan is currently under review to Planning Commission right now. We've been to subdivision committee meeting, and I would be concerned that this could inhibit what we're trying to do to build if you retain an easement there.
I don't have a real problem because that property wasn't brought into the city until a few years ago.
We're replatting the entire area as one big lot for the ATT facility.
So you're going to come back to us again, right?
the rest of it.
No, electrical planning is all.
No, it's going through planning commission.
This is this property already zoned?
Yes, it's all I-3.
Is all I-3?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I have no motion.
No more?
Except we're with third reading already?
Move to place on.
Yes, sir.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
On the emergency, Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
And Witcher?
Yes.
Ordinance 0345, Alderwoman Robinson.
Call it.
This is an ordinance allowing a special use for a daycare in the C4 zone for certain real property located at 4000 East Broadway in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas. First reading.
Move to suspend the rules, place on second reading.
Second.
Gibson? Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance allowing a special use for a daycare in the C4 zone for certain real property located at 4000 East Broadway in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas. Second reading.
Suspend the rules and place on third reading.
Second.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal?
Yes.
Height?
Yes.
Witcher?
Yes.
An ordinance allowing a special use for a daycare in the C4 zone for certain real property located at 4000 East Broadway in the city of North Little Rock, Arkansas. Third and final reading.
I just want to make sure we got the fencing,
Question,
and that's
yeah.
in there, Mr. Boyles. Fencing is required.
Yes, and we also have the
Included.
traffic engineer, and he's here. He's recommending the traffic plan as
Okay.
going
Yeah,
to the
that's-
north.
Question?
What's the question?
The traffic plan that they agreed to,
Yes.
can Mr. Marvin explain that to us, please? That's a busy two highways and streets in the mornings.
Yes, it is. The access that they had was either northbound or southbound. It's only wide enough for travel in one direction. Given the choice of possibility or the occasional probability of backing traffic up out into Washington or backing traffic up out into Broadway, it's a pretty simple choice. I prefer to see a little congestion along Washington rather than along Broadway.
So we're going to have, it's going to be one-way,
Yes,
one-way drive.
one way
Going-
north from
going north.
Washington towards Broadway, yes.
Are you going to allow people to turn left onto Broadway?
I don't see how we can prevent that.
There was some discussion at the planning commission meeting that night about people turning left in rush hour traffic on Broadway.
They do it now anyway.
Rush hour traffic along Broadway is not as directional as is typical on most of the arterials in North Little Rock. It will simply be heavier, a little more so in one direction than the other, but not so that it would make a whole lot of difference whether they were making a left in or, left out or right out. It's going to be heavy.
Right now, there are businesses over there that are there are businesses there where consumers are making left turns, like at the, there's a Ronco business there and some other businesses right there on East Broadway in that area. And they're making left turns, right turns, as well. So, I don't see this as being a problem.
We have
I
any
prefer-
accidents out there on a regular basis during rush hour?
At that specific location, no.
Well, the reason I'm just asking these questions because put a daycare center, on East Broadway, in between Broadway and Washington Avenue. That's just a busy part of town at 8 in the morning and 5 in the afternoon. There's going to be, my recollection is, up to 50 kids are going to be. That correct? That's potentially 50 automobiles.
Mr. Height, I really understand your concern, but if we look here in the city of North Little Rock, there are daycares that are located on busy streets, and they're turning out left, and they're turning out right. So we can't make a difference on East Broadway as to Camp Robinson or wherever else there's a daycare on a busy intersection.
I'm just looking out for their safety.
There will only be approximately 30 children. Originally, I requested 45, but with the way the building currently is and the minimum requirements set forth by DHS, I can only do 30 children. I was going to do some renovations to get 45 children in the building, but I'm not going to do that now, so it'll be
Ma'am,
approximately...
could you state your name? So
Alice
everybody in the
Banks.
council will know who you are.
Alice Banks. So there will be approximately 30 children.
Okay, thank you.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Gibson. Robinson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
Emergency Gibson.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
That concludes new business.
Mayor, I was wondering if we could talk about 0337 again, closure of 2nd Street. You indicated the mayor wanted to hold that. Last time we had several discussions, and I thought we had worked through all our concerns on that
I think-
particular issue.
Robert still had some. Is Robert still here?
He's here.
Did
Robert?
the mayor want that held?
We still have some work to do on it.
On 2nd Street?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The director of the center is here. I don't know why the mayor asked for it to be held. We were wanting to add there's a sewer easement running north-south and along an alley midway on this short section. Riverbend owns the property, all the property on the north and the
And
south.
I understand that.
And they're wanting to close this. The property on the west is Corker, and I've visited with them. They're happy for it to be closed. They don't plan any access there, so this is a stub street.
Hasn't that property immediately to the west been elevated to, been
Yes,
developed?
they fill that.
Filled it
3.4
in,
feet.
and it would really, it cost a lot of money to extend that road out to River Road.
They have no plans of that, so this wouldn't be the route of any road improvement.
And that's right in the center of the recovery center. They've got buildings on both sides of that.
Yes, they're of course wanting to expand, and this will help their expansion plans. But the sewer department does have that 8-inch line running north-south, and they'd like to retain that as an easement. But otherwise, I didn't know exactly why.
Thank you. He asked for it to be held.
I want to admit, I'd like to bring it up and at least amend it, but obviously I would like to see it passed, but if the mayor's asked it to be held, I'm sure not going to.
Would you like to bring it back up? And
I'd like to bring it back up to amend it to include the
Easement.
easement.
So you'll have to make a motion.
Move that we bring back up
337.
37.
0337.
Second. Ms. Whitman?
This is an ordinance vacating...
We need to
certain
vote on it,
sections-
I'm sorry, first to bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gibson.
Yes.
Robinson.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Vestal.
Yes.
Height.
Yes.
And Witcher.
Yes.
An ordinance vacating certain section of 2nd Street, this third and final reading.
Yes.
Now, if we can get the amendment in, I think the city attorney has it in regard to the easements.
I've got an amended version here where it looks like somebody's already, where it's been amended to include with the exception of existing water and sewer easements, which is plugged in after West 2nd Street in Section 1.
That was amended at the last meeting.
It was?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's your vote.
Apologize then.
I left mine.
With that being,
Moving plan.
Then why does he want to hold it?
I'm gonna hold it.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Public comment.
I'd like to make a motion that the council go on record of opposing the sale of alcohol out at Vestal and Burns Park in regard to this Matt Tyler of Cherry Hill Drive's letter here and others as well. We have 400 or 500 of them already opposed to it, and I'd like the council to go on record also. We'll be going over on the 18th, I guess, at 8:30 to make our case before the ABC board. They give us an hour's time. So I'd like to make that motion that we have a voice vote of the council in opposition to that.
I'll second it.
Mr. Carter, can I ask a question?
Yeah. Alderman Witt, go ahead, Mr. Hyde.
I was going to ask Mr. Carter, my knowledge that we have a deadline the Tuesday before the council meeting is at noontime, is that correct?
Yes,
For
we do.
legislation to be proposed or to be brought up in front of the council?
Yes, we do.
So if we have a deadline, then Mr. Thomas's motion or his resolution would be out of order, wouldn't it?
Well, it is new business that's being brought before. I mean, you're being asked to vote on a resolution that wasn't presented to you and has not been filed. That's true.
Mr. Mayor, let me say this. Are you saying all of the voice votes we've given on this council was out of order? We do that. We do it often. We do that. We do that from time to time. I know over the years I've been here, we've done it many times, and I know this one you don't want to vote on, but that shouldn't be something that you should shun. We're up here. We need to take our seat. If it gets hot, we get in the kitchen. We got to take the heat. So I just feel like that we need to, and if it's out of order later, fine. But I'd like to have this body vote on our opposition to that alcohol in the park out there on July the 4th weekend.
Just
follow up.
Mr. Wick. I guess, Mayor, the only observation that I would make is, I guess Mr. Thompson has been working on this well over a month, and and if he thought that he wanted the council to take a stand one way or the other on this, he had a number of opportunities, at least 2 or 3, to present formal legislation for this council to consider to put us on the spot to make us responsible. Now, what I do think is irresponsible is for him to come up with something in the last minute that he's been working on for several months and say, vote on this for me. And I, for one, am not willing to do that. If he had put a resolution up, then I would have voted up or down.
Alderman Vesta? Alderman Thomas, would you please be very specific about this legislation?
Sure. I mean, what do you want me to say? Just we're opposed to the sale of alcohol at the park on July the 4th weekend. Right now, it's illegal out there, and the signs say so. I've had a number of times to take pictures of the signs, and it's illegal. The only way we've wiggled around it is saying that those concession stands is a park facility, and I know for sure from the state that Vestal pays no hamburger tax. I know that, and we're checking out to see how much at Burns Park. You say they did. We're checking that, but there's no seating capacity, and that's the basis that we're working on here for that to be able to go against their own ordinance, their own rules and regulations out there. And I just
Wouldn't you rather have the full council here?
I like
for voice vote.
But I don't know when you can get them here. I just like we've got enough here now to
I'm ready to vote.
Well,
I'll second.
I'm ready to vote.
the one thing I think is that we ought to be voting on is we'll vote whether or not we suspend the rules and allow his resolution to be presented. Don't we have to do that normally? So
voice vote of our opposition.
Well, I'll make mine very clear. The 3 issues he brought up are all legal and are legal issues and have nothing to do with the city council. I will choose not to vote on this issue when the vote comes.
We have a motion second. So what is the ruling of the? I hate to put you on the spot here, but tonight I didn't want to do that. But I know over the years.
The city attorney use this.
Over the years, I know many. I can go back and pull them. We've many times we've taken voice votes on something that we hadn't did one on the agenda.
Mayor, I tell you, I would like to vote on this issue.
Let's do it.
If
you want to. But the issue is
you're gonna get a chance
suspend the rules.
If they'll just call the roll.
Gibson?
The attorney was
Pass.
about to say.
He passed.
Let Mr. Carter.
I'm not going to vote on the issue. The 3 issues he brings up are all legal issues that have nothing that any of this city council can do anything about, and I choose not to vote on this issue.
Mr. City Attorney.
I believe the city council's probably had voice votes on issues before. I think that's acceptable as long as it's acceptable to city council as a whole to vote on the issue. I think that you can make a motion to waive or suspend rules, or you can just do it in fact by having the vote.
I'm going to allow
We have special calls all the time, but they're special calls.
Yeah. I'm going to allow it, Ms. Whitby.
Gibson passed. Robinson?
No.
Thomas?
No.
Pass.
Vestal?
Pass.
Height?
Pass.
Witcher?
Pass.
Motion fails.
Okay, it asks the city clerk, make sure that this get over to the ABC. Please.
That the motion fails?
Yes.
Get what? I didn't know. What do you want?
Public comment?
I've got a couple of things.
I got one.
Which one we don't normally do first, don't
I've got Alderman always.
We go first.
Alderman first.
Mr. Ard, would you vacate that spot? I need to ask a department head to come to there, please.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Grayson? Hate to...
Well, she's on her way up there, and I need to ask Mr. Marvin, don't run away and you talk to her.
Ms. Grayson, an item that has come up several times in the last 3 weeks in neighborhood meetings, obviously is the concern of the mosquitoes and perhaps even the West Nile that goes with it. Is there anything health-wise that we can do in regard to the unmounted tires, I guess we call them? The tires are just sitting around in front yards and backyards and on street corners that obviously when we have a rain that hold water, and when they hold water, they become an immediate breeding ground for mosquitoes. Is there anything in the existing law of the health code to do anything in regard to those?
Not for the health code. We can go out and spread larvicide around if you wanted us to, but the best thing to do, Alderman Gibson, would be to haul, I think you can haul up, and I'd have to ask Mr. Ford, but I talked to him this morning, you can haul 4 tires from your yard up to the front and call sanitation, and they'll come pick them up, and they'll do that, once a week.
And you do have to call to do that.
But they have to be rim, they have to be tires without the rims in them.
To understand. So they would pick them up.
They will pick them up if you call.
Okay.
But if you just bring them up there and put them at the side of the street and don't call them, they may not find them for several weeks. So
That's true, because they can't put them in the garbage truck.
If you put them up there, to please call sanitation, and they will be glad to come pick them up.
So
So
obviously,
there should be no problem.
Mr. Smith, you're here somewhere. I'd like to have this thrown in the public service announcement somewhere so that perhaps we can get those tires picked up. The brush we will have to deal with separately. There are, I've been in neighborhoods recently, and there are stacks of brush this tall. And obviously, I'll be visiting with code about that. Thank you.
Alderman?
Not for her. I have a question for Mr. Ward.
Well, before Ms. Grayson gets away, could I ask her a quick question? Hi, Ms. Grayson.
Hello, Alderman Witcher.
All right, it is my recollection that we will have a hazardous disposal facility available to us beginning sometime in July. Is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay, and it will be located at the city compound. Is that correct? Okay, thank you.
And is that every day or just certain days?
Every day.
For the trash pickup,
No, for hazardous waste, paints, tires.
I have no idea what their schedule for picking that up.
Okay, I think it's going to be available every day.
I hope so.
Alderman Thomas. And they're
For residential.
For residential, I'm sorry, yes, for residential. For residential.
And that means... Yeah, residential.
Who handles
He's in the back of the
ditches,
room.
cleaning out ditches?
You still have to put sand in it.
Is he here?
Thank you, Ms. Grayson.
No.
Mr. Ward?
Right, he's here.
Mr. Ford?
Oh, let's get with Mr. Ford then.
Good evening, Harold Ford, Director of Sanitation Department. In actuality, the hazardous chemical collections will be done once a week on Tuesdays and once a month on Saturday.
And that is that pickup or is that?
No, this is going to be at the Public Works facility.
Okay.
Tuesday.
12th and Willow.
Can we get that on public announcement too?
I think that was put out in a news media release today by the district, Pulaski County Solid Waste Management District.
Correct.
Give me the times again.
It'll be every Tuesday at 12th and Willow and once a month on Saturday. And that schedule's going to be refined later.
Is that effective now or effective July 1?
It starts in July.
I thought
Yes,
so.
sir. Okay.
Mr. Ward?
Mr. Ward's not here. How about Mr. Ford?
Mr. Ford, maybe you can help.
Mr. Ford don't know.
Back in December, when I attended the city council meeting,
Yes.
Nelson Watson from Dixie Addition attended the meeting, and he had concerns about 2 miles of ditch, 2 miles of ditch in Dixie that needed to be cleaned out. I want to know the status of that.
I think Mr. Ed Chapman can answer those questions for you, ma'am.
Mr.
He's
Chapman.
Director of the Street Department.
Thank you, sir.
We are in our middle of our ditch cleaning program. We have cleaned out some of the ditches there in Dixie, and we've sprayed the vegetation by contract.
Okay, the reason why I ask is that I was going to get with Ms. Grayson at the health department so that she could send someone out to Larvaside. That is because that community is surrounded by, ditches.
Yes.
So, can we get her to, can we get her to, is it okay for the health department to go ahead and start Larvaside?
Sure.
Or do we need to wait until you all complete?
And I'm sure they probably do, because that is one of the areas that they work.
I need to ask.
I believe so.
I think they all thought
Alderman Thomas?
Mr. Chapman, at the Greendale Lake, it's been drained. It's very, very low right now, and it's in real bad condition. We're hoping that you might get the prisoners and anyone we could to help clean up around there. The neighbors are very concerned about it. We did that in years past, and we at one time thought the Fish and Game Commission might take that lake over. They tell me that they hadn't heard anything from the mayor lately, so I would hope that we can do something there. It's in real bad shape.
We did clean it up about a month ago around the edges, and we did mow as much as we could. We started running into too many snakes that were out at that time, so the trustees that we were using got a little antsy, so we had to withdraw once we got to a certain point.
But now the neighbors, maybe even some here tonight, I know they was going to try to come, but they're very concerned, and our church is right at the end of it, and I know it looks terrible there right now. If we could do something about it, it'd be very helpful. I don't know if you can or not.
Alderwoman Roberts?
One last concern for tonight. On Emily Street, there's a ditch there, and I know that the gentleman there has been complaining for years about that ditch. We need to clean it out. I saw some flags. The flags have been there for about a month now, but nothing has been done. So we need to just kind of follow up on that and take care of that.
Okay.
Public comment?
Good evening, council members. My name is Bobby Taylor. You know, it's something that kind of bothers me. Y'all sit up there and y'all talk about bending and shifting the rules around. You've already done that once when you allowed alcohol to be sold in Burns Park. There is a permit, and y'all know about that. So what is the difference in suspending the rules tonight and banning them for Mr. Thomas to speak his piece? And if a mayor had done like he was supposed to have done, he would have voted against this, or y'all would have. Y'all, it's 5-2, and the 5 that I'm talking about is one of them is gone tonight. But we wouldn't be, and me and Mr. Thomas and others wouldn't be in this embarrassing situation if y'all had done y'all's job to start with. So I don't appreciate y'all sitting up here and talking about spinning and bending the rules and doing him like you're doing him. I don't appreciate that one bit. And I got another comment on these privilege taxes. I don't ever be late of paying my taxes, whether it's a utility bill or anything. I don't want the city of North Little Rock to ever say that I was behind, because when I ask for service, that's what I expect, and I don't expect nobody to tell me, said, well, if you pay your bill on time, you might get service. I paid my privilege tax just a few days ago, and it would have been paid a good long time ago if y'all had got that together and got it out to us. I also am against people putting it in the paper that they're going to turn us over to the code enforcement. I don't appreciate that either, and that was in the paper. And I don't, I tried for about 4 days. It had a toll-free number in there that you could call. The telephone number on mine was wrong, and there was no answer for that toll-free number that was put in there. For 3 or 4 days I called, and nobody answered that, and then they finally did, and they changed that. And I asked that lady, or my wife did, ask that lady if everything on this was right. She said yes. She said, well, we're going to send it in. So it was in before time. But who knows what all these others, whether they're right or wrong. You know, if y'all get them out to us, y'all know that you was going to raise these taxes. You could have done it and got them out to us.
Tonight, Mr. Taylor, and I imagine that if we have any more problems, we'll do another extension.
Well, I mean, that if you get them out to us, you don't have to threaten us with putting us in code enforcement. And I got another thing that I'm going to bring, but I'm going to wait till the mayor gets back, because I showed y'all some pictures about a project at Protho Junction. You're involved in this too, because you got it to happen. And so I'll save that for 2 weeks. Thank you.
My name is James Hart, as usual, and I wish the Alderman would pay attention, please. I admire the 2 aldermen that are trying to help us and keep alcohol out of the park on the 4th of July weekend. I realize it could cost the city a little business. That's what most of the aldermen are saying. But I think life and protecting someone and keeping that park as family should be the #1 concern of this city. I used to get upset at Mary Hess when she get up here and rattled on and rattled on. But now I understand why she did. She cared about the city. If I didn't care, I wouldn't be working on what I'm working on to try to prevent that alcohol in the parks. I think it's a shame that y'all wouldn't vote, or at least say your feelings. Y'all have a good evening, and please pray about what was going to happen on that 4th of July weekend.
Gibson?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Vestal? Vestal? Height?
Yes.
Witcher? Thank you.